Hey, good morning from the office. This is your host, BKP. We're into our state and national segment of the show. Running a little behind this Monday morning, trying to get everything caught up. Give you a little insight of what's going on. Good morning from the office. We want to welcome all, your host here, BKP. Welcome to FYN TV. We're going to be telling you more about that every day. On the new website, there will be a button at the top that says FYN TV. So anytime you're going, you're looking for the show, looking for the upcoming show of Team FYN Sports Talk, you'll just click on FYN TV. You're going to see that on the new website. The new website will be publishing today. We have today is our scheduled go live event. Now, let me explain to you, because I told you at the opening of the show, if you're just tuning in, we do have some state and national viewers that come in at about 8:30, knowing we're going to get into those topics. We told you Friday about our new website. Well, today is what they call a go live event. So at 8 o'clock, they started doing a server review, as they call it. Then they will start, and I don't even know the exact times of this, it's just called go live event. Then they will start moving the content for 5 years. FetcherNews.com has content for 5 years that has to move into the new site. Everything will be there. I've had people ask, will this story be there? Well, everything that we've done for Fetcher News will be there. That's the big job and task that they have. This company just specializes in moving websites like that. The other things, but this is their specialty. Then they will start moving things, and eventually you will see a new site. So I understand I don't do well with this myself out there. Patience makes me a little nervous, but I understand between this morning and end of the day tomorrow, everybody will see FetcherNews.com new website pending. I hope there's nothing. So that we want to keep you informed of what's going on. We told you there'll be a new site. It's our go live day. There'll be changes as the day goes on. This Monday morning, it's already 72 degrees. The high today will be 85, scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Team FYN Sports Talk coming to you soon from 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. As soon as we get the new site going, Team FYN Sports Talk. If you'd like to be a co-host on Team FYN Sports Talk, send us a message at chief@fetchernews.com or text us 706-889-9700. Now, we're into our state and national. Before we get too far, again, we want to congratulate the USA beats Japan 5-2 to win the women's World Cup. For the first time since 1999, the FIFA Women's World Cup is back in the hands of the U.S. women's national team, who defeated Japan 5-2 on Sunday before an estimated crowd of 53,341 in Vancouver, Canada. So congratulations there to, again, the USA Women's World Cup winner, USA over Japan. I want to know, and I'm going to go through some of these because we're going to do a Donald Trump segment in a minute, but I want to know when we're going to focus on the real problems. And I'll make these pretty quick. 7-year-old boy among 7 killed in Chicago shooting over 4th of July weekend. Beginning Thursday night and continuing through Sunday morning, 38 people were shot. 7 killed, okay? 7 killed, sorry about that, in Chicago during 4th of July weekend. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, one of the Sunday fatalities was Sunday's fatalities. One of Sunday's fatalities was a 23-year-old man who was shot and killed about 2:30 a.m. in the northwest side of Albany Park neighborhood. 2 others with him were shot and wounded in another Sunday fatality, a 26-year-old sitting in a car in the 7700 block of South Shore Drive about 1 a.m. when someone walked up and fired shots into the car. A 17-year-old was shot in a separate incident and taken to the hospital where he is stable. On Friday, a different 17-year-old was shot and killed while playing basketball with his brother at the park. A gunman opened fire at around 4:45 p.m. They don't even wait for it to get dark, killing the high school junior. The boy's aunt said he was a loving child getting ready to be a senior at high school. He was going to start summer job on Monday. Another weekend fatality was a 7-year-old who was pronounced dead Sunday morning at 1:56 a.m. Brown was standing at the 1100 block on North Harding with a 26-year-old woman when shots rang out just before midnight. The woman was also shot in the chest and taken to Stroger Hospital where her condition stabilized. When in this country are we going to start talking about the real problems? When? Now, I know what you're saying out there. You mean Charleston, South Carolina wasn't a real problem? Yes, it's a real problem. But I'm talking about the real problems in this country. I'm talking about where the president ought to be. I want to see the president at this 7-year-old boy's funeral singing Amazing Grace. That's what I want to see. I want to see you fly out there. And I want to see you stand at this 17-year-old boy that was playing basketball in broad daylight that got gunned down in Chicago, where you're from, President Obama. I want to see you stand at his funeral and sing Amazing Grace. And I want to see you just talk about the crime, black on black, young black males being gunned down in these inner cities. Gunned down, not by cops, not by whites, not by white supremacists. I want you to go out there and sing Amazing Grace for them. I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm not being smart, okay? I'm not being arrogant or cocky. I want to see you go sing Amazing Grace at that 7-year-old boy's funeral. 17-year-old broad daylight. How about you get out there to Chicago? Let's see how many of the 7 dead in Chicago this past weekend will the White House highlight, go out there, send officials to the funeral. Why? You can't get nothing out of it? It's not a tragedy worth your time? These inner cities? What's going on in this country? No, it's Confederate flag. No, when are we going to start talking about the real problems in this country? I bet you all of those guns, I bet you they were all legal, weren't they? I bet you they were all held. If you find out, I bet you those guns were all licensed and everybody had their permits. Wow. Huh? Really? When are we going to focus on the real problems? Now, I just wanted to get that out of the way because that really bothers me. I want to hear the guy go out there and sing Amazing Grace at that 7-year-old boy's funeral. Okay, now, I want to move through this quickly. Illinois, our next Greece, while we're on Chicago, $100 million in unfunded pension plans in Chicago, austerity cuts. Interesting. Now, Greece voted no on austerity cuts. We're not going to spend too much time on that, but they voted no. What are austerity cuts? Now, let me tell you something. If the Greeks, when you come in, if you're in debt and you're on major debt and you want help and you want turned around, you bring a bank in, the bank's going to want to look at all your books. And then they're going to say, look, we can help you get this turned around. Okay? They're going to do two things. Bank's going to come in and say, you're beyond turning this around. Or this is how you can turn it around. But we're not going to loan you the money unless you do this, this, and this. And that's what happened over in Greece. The European Union, or the IMF, I'm not for sure. I've got all the articles. I've been reading them. They say if you want us to continue to help you, this is what you have to do, austerity cuts. No. The Greek people voted no. No more. I'll tell you right now, we're going to see what's next. Portugal, what's next? Spain. I'm going to tell you something. They're going to want these cuts, and if the Greeks have already defaulted on $1.7 billion fund they own the IMF They've already defaulted on that payment. If they pull out, these people, you better pay attention. Now, I keep hearing the American financial institution or I keep hearing all the business networks telling me how small Greece is and comparable to the United States economy, and how it's just a blip on the United States economy, and they're trying to sell me, in my opinion, that Greece is not that big deal to the United States. What Greece is, first and foremost, is a representation the United States needs to look at. These people are going to ATMs. This is not a country where there are no ATMs. This is not a country where they have no TV. This is not a third world country where they have no TV. They have, they have no cable. They have no running water. They have no sewer. They live in tin huts, mud huts. This is not that. This is a country where they work 40 hours or 28 hours a week, retire when they're 40, sit at the coffee shop, austerity cuts, no, not me, union after union, socialism. This is a country where these people are going to the ATM. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Anytime anybody in the world can go to the ATM and their money is gone, it could happen anywhere. Because I know we live in the it could not happen to us. We live in that. It could happen anywhere. Could the U.S.? U.S. is $18 trillion in debt. Now, it's more important, and I'm not going, it's more important to argue over the Confederate flag. It's more important to argue over same-sex marriage. It's more important to all these commentators, George Stephanopoulos, Chuck Todd, it's more important for all of them to find out how candidates stand on same-sex marriage, how candidates stand on all of these issues, with the exception of the $18 trillion in debt. Now, if you will look at the Obama administration, George Bush, let me make this quick for those of you that say, well, you're not bringing George Bush into play. The debt went up during George Bush. Don't ever get confused. I do not think George W. Bush was a conservative. I'm sorry. When you see the billboard say, do you miss me now? I'm sorry. No, George W. Bush was not a conservative, okay? The debt skyrocketed during George W. Bush. Yes, it did. Tell the truth. But if you look at when Barack Hussein Obama took the presidency to now, if you take the amount the debt has increased, you give that next president, say Hillary Clinton, that next shot, I understand around 24 trillion. We're at 18. I understand about 24 trillion is our point of no return. So Greece, you better pay attention. I don't have time to go through every single article. But I want to tell you this. I'm going to get to a Donald Trump segment, and I want to do it all at one time. So I want to get through some of my other ones, okay? Puerto Rico. Now, every time something happens like Confederate flag, all I keep hearing is how we avoided ISIS, or our security levels prevented an attack, on and on and on. And I always think every time the media, all the media, no matter who they are, Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, when they all get on this, home attack, all the chatter, security levels high, I always wonder what is going on in Washington, and you do too out there. Polls say you do too. What's really happening out there? Puerto Rico debt crisis hits Congress. Told you this last week. If you'll go back and look at the show last week, I was telling you just last week, the Puerto Rican debt crisis hits Congress. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. You need to call if you have an Oppenheimer fund. I read this article last week. If you have an Oppenheimer fund, I would listen to this. A looming debt crisis in Puerto Rico is setting off a fresh fight in Congress, where lawmakers are debating a statutory fix that could allow the island territory to declare bankruptcy. Now, they may declare bankruptcy. $72 billion in debt. How? Sitting on the beach. What are these people doing down there in this little island that they got $72 billion? I mean, you're going to have to explain this one to me. I mean, the 3 counties we cover, I think, are bigger than Puerto Rico. How do these people get $72 billion in debt? Are they down there playing? They're down there playing dominoes all day. Every time I see a picture of Puerto Rico, or is that Cuba, or is Cuba the new Puerto Rico? Okay. Every time I look, they're down there playing dominoes in Puerto Rico. What in the world is going on that they have this kind of debt in Puerto Rico? Huh? 70. Now, I have told you this. Advocates of change say it would resolve a technical oversight from a decade-old bankruptcy law where skeptics warn that it could throw into question billions of dollars of debt now owned by investors across the country. Earlier this week, Puerto Rico's governor declared that the nation's $72 billion pile of debt was too much to handle. Can't take it no more. We're just like Greece. We're not writing any more checks. It's over. To avoid the death spiral, the governor, Padilla, I think it is, Padilla or whatever, said the Commonwealth, not a state, but a Commonwealth, would have to break its promise to pay some money it owed. Okay. The bankruptcy code is thrown into Congress, middle of the matter. A lawmaker will need to quickly pass a new law if Puerto Rico is going to gain access to the nation's bankruptcy courts. They want to you say, well, what's Puerto Rico? It's a territory. We own Puerto Rico, people. All right, they will do it. It's the nation's bankruptcy courts. Senator Chuck Schumer and Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, are working to build support for similar legislation in the Senate. I'm going to tell you right now, in 1984 update, the nation's bankruptcy law left Puerto Rico out of the picture apparently by accident. Puerto Rico is wanting to bankrupt their debt and their bondholders. They want their bondholders, they want to bankrupt their bondholders, and you need to watch this. If you hold any funds in Puerto Rico, don't trust anything here. We've seen the New York State. Was it New York State that rewrote the bankruptcy laws to allow General Motors to jump over bondholders and give General Motors basically to the unions? Be careful out there, okay? All right, now I want to go over a couple more things before I get to Donald Trump here. Hillary Clinton, and we're going to get back this week to the emails, and we're going to get back to the emails and everything like that. Hillary Clinton ties up reporters with a rope on Independence Day. Maybe maybe next she'll have them hogtied. Hillary Rodham Clinton flunkies used a rope to corral the press walking with her Saturday in a 4th of July parade in Gorham, New Hampshire. This picture is really making the rounds of the way Hillary Clinton's people held a rope line in front of her, keeping her away from the media. I mean, you can see cameras reaching over the line, but they are holding this rope so you don't get close to Hillary Clinton. I'm going to tell you, people, this would matter if people are paying attention, okay? This would matter if people were paying attention. I don't think people are paying attention, sadly enough. It is a terrible, people are not paying attention. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be, you're going to want to stay with this because it's going to bring all the candidates in line. It's going to be a presidential Monday morning segment that is going to highlight Donald Trump, but he is, it's just like, what's his name? Kasich said out there in Ohio, he said, I would have thought when Jeb Bush announced he would have took all the air out of the room. No, who would have thought when Donald Trump announced he would have took all the air out of the room? We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to do just a segment on presidential politics, Donald Trump, and maybe he's on to something that the other politicians are not catching on to. This is your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Good morning from the office. We're glad to have you back. BKP here, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Welcome all. We're going to go over a couple things, and then I'm going to get into my Donald Trump segment. And it's not just a Donald Trump segment. What do you think about amnesty? What do you think about illegal aliens? What do you think about what Donald Trump has said recently? Has it just festered and now it's exploding what he said? Why is it resonating with people? Why is what Donald Trump resonating? Why is Jeb Bush and Chris Christie and Rick Perry of all people? Why are they saying that? Why are they lashing out at Donald Trump? We're going to do a whole Donald Trump segment, but it has to do with everything in the Republican Party right now that I'm convinced about. So you want to stay tuned just for that. But before we get started, welcome to FYN TV. This is FYN TV. There will be a button on our new website that just says FYN TV. Monday, July 6th here. We have 74 degrees already. High today is 85. Scattered thunderstorm this afternoon. Check us out on Facebook. If you'd like to be on the show, 706-889-9700. If you'd like to be on the show, I am looking for an assistant, BKP here. If you would like to get in touch with me about that, my email is chief@fetchernews.com. chief@fetchernews.com. Email, scheduling, research for the show, and a little bit of everything. So if you'd like to be, if you're interested in that, chief@fetchernews.com. This over here in the view is our counterbalance chair. Counterbalance chair over here. If you have an opposing view of your host, we would like to start a segment once a week and have somebody in the counterbalance chair. Now, let's get a little opinionated. Let's get a little opinionated. I think there's two things you ought to do in the morning. This is your host, BKP. Now, you think there's things you need to do in the morning. I had a guy come up to me this weekend that said, hey, you know what, this is what I do every morning when I drink my coffee, whatever. There's two things I think you should do every morning. I think you should read your Bible, and that's me, that's BKP. I think you should spend some time in the Bible, get your day started. And I also think you should read 2 or 3 pages out of the Reagan Diary. Kindly read the Bible and then Reagan Diary.
The other Bible.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. The Reagan Diary. So that's what I think you ought to do every morning. But now, were you around in the 80s? And Kyle, this is the whole segment. Everything you're hearing now is the segment that we're going to cut out and put up. Were you around in the 80s? Dumb question, right? How about 1986? Were you around 1986? Right? Now, I'm going to tell you why in 1986 this does not resonate with you that much. And I'm going to tell you something about immigration in Mexico particularly, that you're not going to like. You're not going to like it, okay? Now, 1984, and earlier than that, but 1984, we see this very strong illegal immigration coming into the United States. We're told there's 3 million illegals. Now, did you know in 1984 we had that mass influx of illegals? A lot of you did not know that. And I'll tell you why. Because it was predominantly men. Now, stay with me. It was predominantly Mexican males that had crossed the border on freight trains and anywhere they could, hiding in trucks, whatever they could do, to get to the United States to work. Now, there's a difference. You need to stay with me on this, okay, because this is laced with a whole lot of truth, and you're going to have to brace yourself to handle some of this, okay? Now, in 1984, these men were coming across because we needed the labor force. You don't think we did? We needed the labor force. I've seen thousands. I've seen one area where they were building 10,000 houses at one time. There was not enough people to work. Not enough people. There wasn't. We had construction sites in 1984. We begged people, begged for more and more people. Didn't have it. Didn't have it. So here we have these men, predominantly men, mostly, coming from Mexico and leaving their families. All right? They left their families and they came here to work. The reason you don't know that, some of you are saying, I know that. A lot of you don't. I'll tell you, especially Jeb Bush, he's clueless on this. I'm sorry, I understand if he called right now, I'd interview him. But they're clueless on this because they were not engaged, okay? So in 1984, all these Mexican men come here, and why didn't you know? Because they were not in your school. They were not in your Walmart. You went to the grocery store, you didn't see them. You didn't see them. I'm going to give you a lesson here that you're not going to like. Because they would come, all the men would come, and they would live in one apartment. They would go rent 2 apartments in these inner cities. We'll throw out Plainfield, New Jersey, New Brunswick, New Jersey, Easton, Pennsylvania. They would go rent these apartments, and yes, they would house 15, 16 at a time in there. All men. You didn't see them. They didn't go out and play soccer on Sunday like they do now. They didn't come out of the house. They came out of the house, they got in the van, they went to work, they come back, they went back in the house. They sent one person to the grocery store because at that time illegal immigration was, something a very big concern. They were actually afraid of getting picked up then. Okay? So they sent one guy to the grocery store. One guy. Okay? And this is the guy that could speak English. This is the guy that, if asked questions, could answer the questions and get out of the store. One guy. So you go in the grocery store. You better pay attention. This is true. You go in the grocery store, and you see one guy with 3 buggies. 2 guys, 3 buggies, $400, and they pay with cash, okay? And they leave. All right. You did not see them in your schools. The children were not here. The wives were not here. Were not here. So you did not realize, a lot of you, that 3 million of them were here working every day in this country. But they were hidden. And you didn't know it because it was just the men back in 1984, just the men. The wives and the children were still in Venezuela. They were still in El Salvador. There was El Salvadorans come over. Venezuelans came over. Guatemalans, Mexicans. The women and children were still there. That's why you didn't know it. Now, as the nation's attention turns back to the fractured debate over immigration, it might be helpful to remember that in 1986, I know this firsthand, in 1986, Ronald Reagan signed a sweeping immigration reform bill into law. Ronald Reagan, he tried this, okay? It was sold as a crackdown. Ronald Reagan, it was sold as a crackdown, okay? There would be tighter security at the Mexican border and employers would face strict penalties for hiring undocumented workers. But the bill also made any immigrant who entered the country before 1982 eligible for amnesty, a word not usually associated with the father of modern conservatism. So now when we think of Ronald Reagan, okay, we think of Ronald Reagan, we don't like to discuss amnesty, we don't like to discuss anything about this, okay? Now, the big difference is, whether you like it or not, Reagan did this with Congress. Reagan did it with Congress. He did not do this with executive session, executive order. He did not do, Ronald Reagan did not do amnesty with executive, he did this through Congress. This is why part of the aversion is due to what was widely seen as a failure of the Reagan's 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act. However, one of the lead authors of the bill says that unlikely most immigration reform efforts for the past 20 years, amnesty wasn't the pitfall. We used the word legalization. And everybody fell asleep lightly for a while, and we were able to do legalization. Look, here's what happened. Ronald Reagan demanded border security and tighter reforms, and he allowed 3 million if they had all their paperwork. I could go on to read. That's why border security is always a Republican's first thing. Border security. Ronald Reagan offered it one time. One time. You can argue all day whether you like it or not. One time. Now, why is it a problem today? Why is it a problem today? And we're getting into amnesty, and we're talking about from 3 to 11 million and so on, because the wives and the children are here now. Absolutely. And whether you like it or not, Donald Trump's on to something. The first 3 million that came to work, because I know them personally, they're my age. I can rattle you off names that I worked with back in 84 and 86. In 1986, I told you the story. I took several Hispanics, Latinos to Philadelphia, Dover, New Jersey. I took several to immigration and helped them get their paperwork done. I personally did it, okay? I remember. They worked. The first wave that came in here of 3 million from south of the border, they came here for jobs. They came here to do the construction. They came here to mix the concrete. They came here to work. Those were hard-working men, and what women came. They were, I've seen it firsthand. Now, what have they done since 1986, 96, 2006, almost 30 years? Now, when Ronald Reagan signed this, instead of securing the border like the deal was supposed to, the border did not get secured. Okay? Now, when he signed this, the wives got to come. They started bringing the children. That's when they said, 1986, this is why it's taken 30 years. Now you got next generation. They're not coming for the jobs. Now, the National Chamber of Commerce wants to lead you to believe that they're all crossing this border now. They crossed in 1982 and 84. They crossed then for the jobs. In 2015, they're not crossing this border today for the jobs. They're crossing the border today because 30 years have passed, and their children have children now, and they have been told all you got to do is get on this side of the border, and from welfare to health care to rent assistance, no matter what it is, America is free. It's not the land to get a job anymore. It's the land to come here and live for free. That's why they're coming now. I'm going to look you right in the camera and tell you. That's your influx. Now, why are you so upset about it that you weren't in 1984? Why are you upset now? When we come back from the break, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why I think Donald Trump's on to something here. Stay with us. We'll be back in 3 minutes. BKP, good morning from the office. Hey, good morning from the office. This is your host, BKP. We're back talking illegal immigration, and we're going to talk just a little more about it. I won't bring it around. I could get stuck on this, but in 1986, when Ronald Reagan attempted to allow 3 million to get what is considered today as amnesty, sorry about that, is considered today amnesty. The deal was, that's why you always hear Republicans say secure the border first, because it didn't work. Ronald Reagan made an attempt to fix it, made an attempt to secure the border and stop this. He made an attempt, whether you like it or not. He did it through Congress, not through executive order, but it didn't work, okay? That's why a true Republican A true Republican will say, secure the border first, because we tried this once in 1986. And the deal was the border was supposed to get secured. That was the deal, that Congress was supposed to secure the border. Now, when they legalized this, the 3 million, the wives, the children started coming. Guess what happened? Eventually they started getting here. It took a period of years. They started going to school. They didn't do this in 1984. You didn't see the kids in school. Your children did not come home and say, well, you know, little Jose and little Lupe and little Marguerite and, you know, whatever. You didn't say, they are in my class and they don't speak English. Okay? You were not hearing that at home, so you did not know it. You were going to the grocery store and you were not bumping into them. Now you started bumping into them at the grocery store. You started finding out that your Board of Education had to increase their budgets because they had to hire special teachers. They had to hire teachers just to teach these classes with these young Hispanic kids in there now. Now it's starting to hit home, and you're saying, whoa, what happened here? I'm going to tell you it happened back in 1982. When Congress let you down in 86 and did not secure your border, okay? Now, you don't know what to do because the wives are here, the children are here, they've taken over cities. When I say they, I'm sorry, it sounds like that. I'm like Donald Trump. I got nothing against Hispanics, okay? Now, let me tell you something they will not tell you. The Hispanics in 1986 that became legal under Ronald Reagan, they want safe workplaces. They want safe neighborhoods, the Latinos do. They want safety for their children. They want good education. These are the ones from 1986, the workers that came here, the actual workers that are my age. Okay? They want, okay? When you see, they want security for their families. They want legal immigration. They want people to do what they did. They went through it. Whether you agree with what they did or not, they had to take rent receipts, they had to take work receipts, they had to take everything they had to get their paperwork correct. All right? They want the same thing for you, illegals. Now, Donald Trump makes this comment, and he catches on to something. We have a situation, man arrested in connection with a San Francisco killing has been deported several times. This guy was in a sanctuary city. The man arrested in connection with the seemingly random killing of a woman who was out for a stroll. Okay? This woman was out for a stroll with her father along the San Francisco waterfront, is an illegal immigrant who previously has been deported 5 times, federal immigration officers say. This woman was shot. Catherine Steinle was killed Wednesday evening at Pier 14, one of the busiest tourist destinations in the city. Francisco Sanchez is the one been arrested. I'm telling you the truth. What is a sanctuary city inside? You know, there's the embassies. When you go to other countries, embassies are sanctuaries. But what is a sanctuary city within the walls of this country? Now, Trump, they have gone crazy over what Trump said. Now, I brought up, there's a website, and I want you to look at it when you get a chance. Okay? They brought up, this is Victims of Illegal Alien Memorial. In honor of thousands of American citizens killed each year by illegal aliens, deaths that could have been prevented if Congress and the President would have secured our border and enforced existing U.S. immigration laws. The list is endless. Catherine Kate Steinle, 32, daughter, sister, friend, allegedly murdered in San Francisco. That's the top of the list, the latest one. A previously deported illegal alien from Mexico has been charged with the July 1st murder of Catherine Stein, 32, of San Francisco. Bob Berry Jr., 58, veteran sportscaster. I can't pronounce all the name. 26 years old, killed him. Deported illegal for... A previously deported illegal alien from Mexico has been arrested for the cause of the 21st traffic death by Bob Berry Jr., a popular veteran Oklahoma City sportscaster. Michael Grubbs, 63, father, grandfather, veteran, and friend, allegedly killed by 29-year-old illegal alien. Grant Ronnebeck, 21. This is all over the United States, okay? Jamie, now when you get down here, you keep scrolling down, Shane Oxendine, 17, son, brother, student, friend. Rafando Moreno Valea, 29 years old, drunk driving, illegal alien. You see this kid here, Parker Moore, 20 years old, son, student, athlete in his football uniform, murdered by a 33-year-old illegal alien. This thing goes on and on and on. If you go there, it is just search Ohio Jobs and Justice PAC. They have put this together. OJJPAC.org. OJJPAC.org. These are hundreds of Americans that's killed by illegal aliens. They come over here, they get cars, they drink, they drive, they have no license. They've been released 2 and 3 times, some of them with a DUI. Donald Trump might be on to something here. I want to ask you one more, and I will move on from this. How about these 2 young ladies dead from an illegal alien drunk? 25 Americans killed each day by drunk illegal drivers from the website Victims of Foreign Nationals and Illegal Aliens Crimes. Tessa Tranchant, 16, and Allison Cunhart, 17, were killed in Virginia Beach on March 30th, 2007, when a car driven by a drunk driver, illegal alien, Alfonso Ramirez, plowed into the rear of their vehicle as they were waiting for a green light at an intersection drunk. How about calling their parents? Maybe Donald Trump's on to something here. Now, I'm running out of time, so let me make sure I get to this. They keep piling on. I'm going to tell you something. You're finding out the politicians that are amnesty driven. I don't want to call, I don't like, Donald Trump says things, Mexicans are rapists and this. I truly know that Donald Trump doesn't mean every Mexican, but if they're coming across that southern border, they're not the brain surgeons, and they're not the doctors, and they're not the pharmacists, or they're not the nuclear physicists, or they're not the top echelon of Mexico coming across that southern border. Let me tell you something. If you're walking across that southern border, odds are you're probably running from a cartel down there, and you hear everything's free on this side of the border. I like this question that came from and I have to say, George Stephanopoulos asked probably the dumbest question I've ever heard asked. Ever's a long time, so I'm going to say it anyway. He says yesterday, talking about Donald Trump, how long do you think he'll stay in the race? Dumbass, he's the front runner. He's right there with Jeb Bush. He may be the nominee. I know what I just called you, but why are you asking how long will he stay in the race? You're talking about the guy that is possibly the front runner. Now, why does he have Jeb Bush upset? Why is Ted Cruz the only one defending him right now? I'll tell you why Ted Cruz is the only one defending him right now. Ted Cruz catches on. He's catching on. Now, I'm sorry about that comment for George Stephanopoulos, but how could you ask how long he will stay in the race? Right now, there's multiple polls that have him the front runner. There's polls that have Jeb Bush the front runner, and there's polls that have him in the top 3 and 4. But you want to run Rick Perry. Are you trying to get Rick Perry some traction? As Donald Trump said, Rick Perry needs some better glasses. You're trying to run Rick Perry. That is polling, what, 2% to get him on the stage? Chris Christie said the wall will never be built. Why is the media trying to get Donald Trump off the stage and Chris Christie on the stage, Rick Perry on the stage, and Jeb Bush? I tell you what, I predict that the Democrats will come out and vote in every Republican primary they can. We're going to talk about that when we come down the other side of the break. This is my Donald Trump segment, Republican Party. Republicans, get ready for the Democrats to pick your next nominee. Again, a moderate, because a conservative can't be beat when you run as a conservative. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Good morning from the office. Your host, BKP. And we're back. Good morning from the office. BKP, your host. We've only got 15 minutes. Now, I have to make an admission. I want to send out an apology to all the viewers out there if I've seemed just a little scattered. I'm going back and forth between breaks on the with the website designer. They're telling us not to post no more in the old website. We've got that covered. They're telling me some steps they're doing. We got that covered. So I'm answering some questions at the break with the website developers as we're trying to move our new website today. And, so there you go, working on that. So my apologies for being a little scattered this Monday morning, July 6th at 9:43. If you watched any of the morning shows, I watched 4 of them. Everyone found somebody to pile on Donald Trump. All right, now Ted Cruz is the only one that said Donald was bold, he liked Donald Trump, and he wasn't going to have Republican on Republican crime, as he called it, okay? So Republicans have definitely gone after each other, but they've all joined in and going after Trump, every one of them, all right? And you found out this weekend, and you're finding out it took the other Republican candidates, Jeb Bush, it took them all 2 or 3 weeks to figure out which way they needed to go on this. And I'll tell you why. They're waiting for their corporate backers. I mean, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and some of these, and Chris Christie, they should be wearing NASCAR jackets. They should be driving around it. Their motorcade should look like NASCAR. And I'll tell you why, because they're sponsored. I know there's an argument out there, that's not very nice. But I'm telling you, they waited to find out exactly what their corporate sponsors wanted them to say, okay, and wanted them to do. And always follow the money, always follow the money. They wanted to find out what they're supposed to do on this, because they're for amnesty, and their true colors have come out. Marco Rubio, their true colors have come out for amnesty, okay? Now, Cruz is the only one that catches on. And right now, whether you like it or not, if Donald Trump would leave the race, tomorrow he would probably get up and endorse, and you might think, oh gosh, that would be the death knell. I don't think so. He would probably endorse Ted Cruz right now, because Cruz is the only one that catches on. Cruz is the only one. Now Saturday or Sunday morning, they had this black gentleman was on there that lost his son that was killed. His son was killed by an illegal alien. And they don't know, the media doesn't know what to do with this, because this black guy says Donald Trump was right. They can't stand that. Donald Trump was right. And they don't know what to do with it. But this has brought the Republican candidates to the surface of how they really feel. Now, Ted Cruz says he's not going to be involved in Republican on Republican violence as this gets argued. But the one thing I noticed, okay, nobody discussed why Trump's polls ratings are going up. Instead of asking all of the candidates the Chris Christies and the Rick Perry and all of the candidates that they talk to. Jeb Bush is growling in the audience. No Republican that I know. He's personally offended because his wife is Latino. Nobody asked the questions this weekend. You don't hear anybody asking the question. Okay, why are Trump's poll numbers going up? Nobody's talking about that. They won't bring that to light for nothing. Why the poll numbers are going up? Trump says, why are they not catching on to this? Or are they catching on? Trump's poll numbers going through the roof. They're going through the roof. Now, what about Trump comes out, the other part that won't talk about jobs. Trump comes out and says he will be the greatest job creator president ever in history, ever. See, Trump doesn't need the money. They got mad. He stood on stage. He said, I'm rich. I'm real rich. And he don't need the money. He's not out doing fundraisers and having to beg people. They all came to him. Remember last election? They came to him. Mitt Romney is the voice of the party? Really? Mitt Romney's the voice of the party? Look, I'm going to tell you now, Trump don't need the money. He's not out fundraising. He's just out, saying what's going on. He is more connected to the regular people in this country than any candidate. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, any candidate in the race. Donald Trump's more connected to what's going on. Obviously, he has an ear to the ground and people are telling him and he actually listens. Okay? Because here's what he said. He said he didn't understand. He don't understand. If you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, it doesn't matter what you are. I mean, you want to secure your borders and you don't want to be unsafe. You don't want to get killed by an illegal. I mean, this unites. Democrats don't want to go to the grocery store and risk getting hit by a drunk driver that's an illegal alien. This crosses party lines. I think they're a nervous wreck. See, I think Donald Trump gets Democrat voters. I think he gets every voter. Not every vote. He gets every kind of voter out there, Donald Trump does. Okay, he gets every kind. Because let me tell you something. Liberals want to go to the grocery store and back and not get hit by a drunk driver. That's exactly right. Donald Trump doesn't understand why there's not more outrage. Now, he wants to also be the greatest jobs president. Why do we need a jobs president? Why do we? Donald Trump says he wants to be the greatest job president ever in the history of this country. Unemployment's 5.3, 5.5, 4, somewhere around there, right? Unemployment. Why would we need a great jobs creator? I mean, at 5% unemployment, because I'm going to tell you something. You read all the articles out there and you will find out. Unemployment is not 5.4. It's like Donald Trump. Donald Trump says the real number's around 20. Donald Trump says it's a joke. Why are his poll numbers going up? Let me tell you something. You have people working for $30,000 a year that were making 70 that are trying to find 2 jobs. They're working 2 jobs. Okay, you have, since 1977, I think it is, you have the largest amount of people out of the workforce ever, out of the workforce, that have fallen off the rolls. If everybody in the workforce that have fallen off the rolls were included, you don't have no 5.4 unemployment. I'm telling you now. Now, when people like Rick Perry and people like that start saying they want to put more penalties, well, they didn't say penalties, but they want more enforcement for employers not to hire illegals. Chris Christie says, a wall, not going to happen. I mean, that's rhetoric. He's the truth teller out there, Chris Christie. Not going to happen. A wall's not going to take place in Mexico. We need more sophisticated surveillance of the border, he says, and then we need to put more pressure on employers who employ these illegal aliens. Now, I will tell you what I told somebody. I've had this argument. Why is it if I'm in Georgia today, if an illegal alien walks in Georgia today from Mexico, South America, and looks for a job, and they walk in and fill out an application, do you realize they've already basically crossed 1,000 miles of this country before they came in to your office this morning in Georgia, or in North Carolina, or in Virginia, or in Ohio? They have already crossed thousands of miles. Why do the employers of this country have to be what I call border security? I mean, E-Verify. We're going to strengthen E-Verify. We're going to strengthen E-Verify. We're going to strengthen E-Verify. We're going to penalize the employer that gives the job if he doesn't ask for enough documentation and make sure every I's dotted and T's crossed. But God forbid you ask somebody to provide a driver's license to go vote. Now, you tell somebody you want a picture ID to go down here and cast a vote, and all HE double hockey sticks breaks out, and the ACLU, and everybody just breaks out in hives because you asked somebody for documentation to vote. But then you want to turn around and say E-Verify. Now, I'm not against E-Verify, but I am so tired of you coming out with why do the employers in this country that work so hard day in, day out, the small business owners, why do they now have to add to the list of things they do? Why do they have to be the border security too? That's basically what you mean. Oh, wait a minute. You have just walked through our door. We have a help wanted sign up. I know you have these 3 pieces of documentation, and normally I could give you a job. But since the government has now deputized me as border security, I must now put you through several more. I don't want to be the border security. Stop them at the border. Let me tell you something. If they get 1,000 miles in the United States and they can go apply for a job, we got a different problem. You understand? I know it's 9:53. I've got to get out of that. I want to tell you right now, we're going to come back to this tomorrow, because here's my prediction. Here's my prediction is the Jeb Bush prediction. I think the Democrats know they can run against Jeb Bush. Oh, absolutely. Even Hillary. They know they can. They know they can run against a moderate. So the media will convince everybody they need a moderate, okay, because it's worked out so well with John McCain and Mitt Romney. When a Republican runs as a conservative, right here, Ronald Reagan, a conservative wins. The country's ready for a conservative president. I'm going to tell you, I guarantee that this morning. I will write that down, okay? Guarantee country's ready for a conservative president. And I will guarantee Latinos are ready for a conservative president. Blacks are actually ready for a conservative. I guarantee. I know you're yelling. I don't know what I'm talking about. American people, over 50%, are wanting a conservative president right now that they can trust. Okay? Now, Georgia has an open primary. South Carolina, open primary. They know Hillary Clinton's going to win. Hillary Clinton will not lose. So the Democrat Party in Georgia will summons every Democrat to go on Election Day and vote for Jeb Bush. It's just like the Democrats in South Carolina ran to the polls to vote for John McCain. Absolutely. They're going to do that in Georgia. And I'm going to tell you tomorrow how Georgia could actually, how a conservative can win in Georgia. I'll tell you that tomorrow. But right now, the open poll, I know the SEC primary I keep hearing about, and I'm excited about it. But I'm going to tell you now, Republicans are in a big mess in these open, because unless Joe Biden jumps in, if Joe Biden jumps in, then they can't afford to waste their vote. Right now, Bernie Sanders, yeah, okay, I know they're trying to create some hype on the Democrat side. O'Malley's, what happened to him? I don't know what happened to him. Webb, I don't know what happened to him. Webb, Nothing serious. They know Hillary's got a lock, so they can waste their vote and run and vote. The Democrats can run and vote for Republicans to get you a nice Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio. Yes, I know you're not calling him you're not calling him a moderate, but I'm just telling you. Hey, this is your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. This is North Georgia's only live online morning show. I want to again apologize this morning for seeming a little scattered. I'm getting messages back and forth from the website company that is transferring things, so I'm having to keep an eye on that. Hopefully by tomorrow morning, sometime later today, you will start seeing the new FetcherNews.com. Remember, welcome to FYN TV. If you see the new FetcherNews.com tomorrow morning, click on FYN TV. Click on FYN TV to watch our show. Find us on Facebook. We'll do everything to make sure you know how to find us tomorrow on FetcherNews.com. Our new website, we want to welcome White, when it comes up and you see it, we want to welcome White, Dawson, Lumpkin, Union Towns, Cherokee, North Carolina, and Murray to the FYN family. Team FYN Sports Talk, Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. We are looking for co-hosts. If you would like to be a co-host for Team FYN Sports Talk, let us know at chief@fetchernews.com. Team FYN Sports is looking for somebody that is interested in Rebel football. If you'd like to cover Rebel football for all the home and away games, send us a message, chief@fetchernews.com. BKP, I'm looking for an assistant here. If you would like to email scheduling research for the show, send me a message, chief@fetchernews.com. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 8:15, Financial Facts with John White from Financial Guidepost. That'll be live at 8:15. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything else. Before we leave today, Pickens County Rec Department will be having a movie under the stars July 24th. Gates open at 6 p.m. and they will be showing Big Hero 6 free admission. Salon 84 in color, located on West Church Street in Jasper. Call for an appointment today, 706-253-9876. Clock Tower Gift and Boutique, also located in Jasper. Woodbridge Inn, located in Jasper. Downtown Sensations, located at 28 South East Street, 706-692-7565. Tanning packages available. Sensations, 1907 Restaurant off the square in LJ. Mattress overstock. Go see Gary, Richard, Rhonda, the mattress lady, for the best mattress at the best price. They truly want to help you sleep better. Located in the East LJ Walmart Shopping Center. Mention you heard this ad on Fetch and receive a special gift with your purchase. Call them today with any questions, 706-698-7378, or come in for a great deal. Go see Gary, Richard, Rhonda, the mattress lady, East LJ Walmart Shopping Center. Promo code Fetcher News. Get that discount I got set up for you. LJ Fitness, check out LJ Fitness, 379 River Street in LJ, 706-636-2348. New Ground Market, find them on Facebook or newgroundmarket.com. Messrs. Orchards, find them on Facebook. Go to Blue Ridge Ace Hardware and check out the Amish furniture. Also at East LJ Walmart Shopping Center, my friends Bill and Allison over at North Georgia Diamond. Go over and say hello at North Georgia Diamond to Bill and Allison. This is your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. And again, you have a nice day. We'll be back tomorrow morning, and I promise once we get all this website stuff settled, my flow might get back in order. My number is 706-889-9700. Send me messages at chief@fetchernews.com. Have a nice day. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.